Hello, and welcome to my first episode of me rewatching my DVDs. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Or me watching my DVD. I don't know. I'm Tommy, and if you're not a fucking rocket scientist, this is basically a thing where I'm going to go through my whole DVD collection and, well, watch them. But the whole plan is to kind of keep myself kind of filmy minded so I can, talk about film, which I'm failing to do right now because I'm severely hungover as well. But fuck it. Yeah, no, I'm gonna kind of reminisce about the film, how I remember it. So I'm gonna try and take films that I haven't seen in a long time, and then talk about what they were to me then, and then watch them, and not record this while I'm watching them because that would be boring, and no one wants to hear me do fucking commentaries. And then I will kind of do an updated review and sort of see how my tastes have changed and see what I wasted my money on. Um, yeah, so I'm not really going to try and offend people or anything like that, but yeah, I'll probably swear and talk how I normally do. So we'll see how that goes. And the first film that I've chosen for episode one is Corky Romano, which is that mob comedy starring Chris Kattan, who you might know as the other guy from that Will Ferrell clubbing movie. And he was also Mango on Saturday Night Live. Now, I think the reason I've chosen this one first is because it was actually the first DVD that I got. I don't remember the context of how I got it. I might have bought it for myself. I like wacky comedy. This movie came out in 2001, so in my defense, if it sucks, I was a child. But yeah, no, it was the first movie that I got, and I haven't watched it in years. So I figured that this would be a kind of a good place to start. And yeah, I remember at the time I was going through a big sort of Saturday Night Live phase, and I remember Chris Kattan doing the whole Mango thing, and he was the Night the Roxbury guy, and then there was Mango that, and then they did a great sketch with Will Ferrell about the air supply dudes, and I thought he was wacky and slapstick, and there was a period where I watched Pauly Shore movies when I was about fucking 7, or God help me, that was probably too old, but yeah, and I think for some reason I felt the need to pick this one up. I guess it was around the time that I started getting pocket money as well. So, uh, yeah, I remember, I'm looking it up right now, and it has got some seriously bad reviews, and I am just kind of doubting my taste in movies right now. I'm just wondering if maybe it's one of the cases where a comedy is just being sort of dumped on just because there's a lot of great comedies that don't get good reviews. I think critics uh, don't tend to have a sense of humor, but that's kind of a common thing. I mean, the good reviewed comedies would be fucking like Juno, which is not. I'm offended that they call that a comedy. Piece of shit movie. And fucking like Little Miss Sunshine, I wouldn't really call that a comedy. It's got like one or two funny moments. Anything where Steve Carell is being serious is not a comedy. Anything where Steve Carell has a beard, there you go, is not a comedy. Fucking, he should have just stayed with The Office. Anyway, I digress. But who the fuck directed this movie? Robert Simmons or Simons? Oh no, Rob Pritz. The Simmons character was only a producer for it. So, jeez, I'm just trying to remember like if this is actually any good. I'm really kind of freaking out now. But yeah, so we've got Chris Kattan. Vanessa Shaw, she was hot. Don't know what happened to her. Probably she made this movie and that was the end of her career. Peter Berg, he's off making those fucking battleship movie or something. I don't know. Wow, I just couldn't realize that I have nothing to talk about this film. Um, did it inspire me in any kind of way? I don't really know. No, I know that this movie is responsible for introducing Aha to my life with the song "Take on Me," which is to this day the only Aha song that I know. And I remember a scene about him doing a lot of coke and buying a boat. But uh, yeah, I feel like I'm kind of struggling a bit here to talk by myself, so I won't waste any more time. I'm gonna go watch this movie and hope it's not a piece of shit. So, I'm back in a jiff. Back in a jiff. Fucking idiot. Alright. Right, so Corky Romano has now been watched. I'm not gonna put a sound effect in or anything to instigate like a transition because I just really, to be honest, don't really care enough to put the effort in. It's the same with why I didn't have an intro to start this. Like the whole podcast itself, that stuff just kind of I just don't care. Yeah, like it makes no difference to my life whatsoever, and like I feel like this is the amount of effort that I'm gonna put in anyway. So if that bums you out, I'm sorry, but I just don't care. Another thing that's gonna make this kind of interesting is because I'm kind of I'm less hungover now, which is good. But I also did just watch Corky Romano, which is conflicting, and I also have this someone fucking peeling the paint off the roof in the next room or something like that. And I'm getting messaged, so I better turn the volume down because yeah, I'm not using headphones or a microphone either. Again, like I said, I'm putting in very little effort here. It's like just so you know how how respected you are as an audience. But yeah, that scraping is really horrendously distracting. But I figured that there's no better time to really try and talk about Corky Romano while there's someone scraping paint off a roof because it's kind of going to add a bit of flavour to what I'm going to say. And no, it's not. Corky Romano. The weird thing is, like, I don't completely fucking hate it. Like, I feel like I should, but I think it also helps that I watched it when I was hungover because I am in the sort of state of mind to make allowances where I'm sort of in the mood to watch a shit movie. You know, this is exactly the kind of it was perfect actually for what I needed this morning. And it doesn't mean that like I needed to like that I was sitting there going like, wow, this is an underrated movie. I was there and I knew it was crap, but I was kind of connecting with it on like this kind of metaphysical level where I was like, I feel like crap, and this is kind of crap, and so like right now we are one. Like having this extra crap in the room sort of just made this sort of healthy sort of vibe for me. It let me know that I wasn't alone, and sometimes you need that. So yeah, like it still has a particular charm to it to me. Not a charm, but like there's that kind of nostalgic thing. You know, it's like I put it on and I was like, just immediately. I was surprised at how much of it I remembered, and then I was also, I suppose, surprised by how much of it I didn't. But yeah, like it's my first DVD. You know, and that's a big thing for a nerd like me. Like I mean, I don't have a whole crazy lot of things that I'm kind of, you know, I don't have like, you know, cars and hobbies and things like that, you know, a social life, effort and all that jazz. But I do have my DVDs, and so like it has, you know, your first DVD is gonna have a special place, you know. And but I'm just really disappointed that my first DVD is Corky Romano. Like, I wish it could be something like fucking Jurassic Park or Hook, but it never will be. It will always have been Corky Romano. So, I think I've had to take a step back and re-record over something there because it just turned into hungover gibberish for a bit. Anyway, so Corky Romano. Where to start talking about this movie? To break it down, I mean, the only thing that would make me kind of speak well on its behalf would be the fact that it has that kind of nostalgia to it, being the first DVD. Because apart from that, it's really nothing special. I mean, I kind of have a special liking for crap movies, so I wouldn't really recommend it to someone who didn't share a taste in crap movies with people who didn't like movies like fucking Air Bud or The Pest with John Leguizamo, which will be in one of the upcoming episodes. But yeah, like if you have to be able to kind of embrace the stupid of it. Like, I mean, it does know it's a stupid movie, and it is a fucking stupid movie, and it's like it's got a really stupid fucking premise. You know, this whole nonsense of, you know, that some pansy from a tough mafia family who is a vet who has to go undercover into the FBI to save his dad by destroying evidence in a case against him. Like that's ridiculous enough. And you know, slapstick. I do love slapstick, but I feel like it kind of just really sort of sucked in this movie. I suppose like wacky flailing used to sort of appeal to me more back then, but now I'd like to see, you know, a purpose to the flailing. You know, Charlie Chaplin was a great flailer. There was always, you know, a reason to his slapstickery. It went somewhere. Whereas this was just a fucking dickhead 30-year-old having like a fucking massive seizure in a fucking vet room, knocking over snake containers, terrariums, or whatever you call them, and letting all these fucking gerbils loose and doing wacky faces and silly voices and putting them all into containers. And around that point, I was like, oh, fuck this movie. And that was about 5 minutes. Actually, it opens up with fucking explaining some fucking jokes to you. Like, God, I had to pause it and make myself a sandwich. I was just hungover and I was pissed off at it. And then at some point, I kind of got into the swing of things, and I enjoyed it for about 15 minutes. And those 15 minutes, I'm trying to pinpoint the bits that were funny. I think it was the bits that I even mentioned earlier in the podcast where he's singing "Aha" in the car, and then the bit where he ends up coked out of his head, and then the rest of the film, I just fucking hated him. I hated him so much on a personal level, and I didn't want to see him get the girl at the end. It's like I don't buy that at all. That, you know, a fucking dude like that would get the girl in the end, because he's just such a fucking chode. Like, you can suspend disbelief, but only so far. And yeah, that's where it really lost me. Actually, no, it lost me around the time he was in his second silly outfit. And I mean, I think I'm really just being a curmudgeon about the whole thing, but I'm thinking back over it now, and I'm realizing I spent a lot of that movie not laughing and waiting for it to end. And I also spent a lot of time watching that movie and thinking, I have nothing to say about this film, except that I just, like, I want to berate childhood Tommy and be like,
Dude, you fucking idiot. Don't buy everything. And the thing is, there's more DVDs. Like, I know there's loads more. Whereas I'm going to have the same kind of feeling like this, where I've got nothing to say about them. And I'm just going to be like, why did I buy that? Like Betty Blue, for example. I don't even need to rewatch that to say I fucking hate that movie. But I'm going to rewatch it because I haven't watched it in like 5 years, and I spent fucking money on it, so I may as well watch it a second time. But I'm not going to watch that today. No. Today, I'll probably just stick with the one film because I just don't want to watch another film. I'll see how this one goes, and if people sort of like it at all, then maybe I'll, do more of these sort of things. This is kind of just a trial run. I didn't make any notes or anything, as you might be able to tell. I'm never going to do that, but I am going to kind of get guest speakers to kind of come and watch movies with me and talk about movies with me. I'll try to make sure that it's a movie that that the person has a connection with as well, or, that maybe me and them share a connection with, or if there'd just be someone who's groovy, like, I'm going to try and get my friend Liam on. He said that he'd like to be a part of it, which is cool, but got to make sure that we find a good movie that won't distract us from touching each other's ding-dongs, because, alright, now that just got a bit weird. I'm going to leave it there, though. So, yeah.
So going back to Corky Romano, and one thing that just really stands out to me is Columbo being in it. And actually more than Columbo, fucking Chris Penn. Like, that dude's brother is Sean Penn. Like, they're just such a highly respected actor. And I suppose even Chris Penn was in, like, fucking Reservoir Dogs and Footloose. Like, dude. I mean, I suppose that's what happens when you need to get paid. And sorry, I just need to have some water right now. I probably should have done that before I restarted. I had to stop again because my dad had made me a lovely lunch, lots of vegetables and a steak and all this kind of malarkey, and it was really, really good. It was exactly what a hungover boy needed, so this one goes out to my pops. Thanks, Dad. That was smashing. And I suppose it's funny enough that I just watched a movie that deals with father-son relationships. Look, that's... See, even that's kind of clutching at straws. It's, like, I thought it was kind of funny because you got, like, Columbo and Chris Penn and fucking the illiterate son, and they're all like this tight-knit group of the lads. And when they talk about Corky the first time, they're like, this guy's a fucking loser. They're like, the dad, Peter Falk, literally says he's dead to me. And then at the end of the movie, he tries telling him, like, oh, we actually sent you away because you were meant for better stuff. No, they didn't send him away for that. They fucking hated him. They treat him like absolute shit. Then they ask him to do stuff for them, and then they kick him out immediately again. It's there's no, like, real sort of development there. No family connection. You don't sit there thinking like these good mobsters that aren't murderers. They're innocent of. Fuck off! Don't make a movie about mobsters and say that they haven't killed people. They're into gambling, racketeering, and very stern. Using a very stern voice to resolve their issues. Like, the brothers even go in and beat the fuck out of some white supremacists with fucking baseball bats and big metal things, and they carry guns on them at all times, and yet they've never killed someone. Fuck off. Don't give me that bullshit. Don't do a PG gang. Like, I mean, you don't need... Not every gangster movie needs to be fucking, like, The Godfather. You don't need violent on-screen murder and all that jazz, but don't tell us that these are the mob and that they don't kill people. That's just fucking stupid. Like, that's what they do. They're criminals. When you... and even if they don't kill people, like, if in real life there was these, like, kind of halfway gangsters, I don't want to see them in a movie. That's uninteresting. Sorry, I need to get my hydration up. Ah, fuck it. There's like probably going to be like 4 people listening to this anyway. Hugh, Liam, fucking that'll be it. Maybe Kenny. Hey Kenny, what's going on? It's gonna be weird when he doesn't listen to this now. Oh, right. I think I'm done talking about Corky Romano, and I think I might be done with this episode. Yeah, I was thinking of like trying to go to half an hour, but fuck that. Like, I don't have anything to say about Corky Romano. I mean, I suppose I should do a summary at least, saying like, that movie. It'll always it has a special place to me. It'll always have this weird nostalgia to it that I can't explain why. That's the only way I can explain it. Is that there's a nostalgia to that film for me that I get some kind of enjoyment out of. That I'm reliving something. That said, when I watch it now, being an older, fucking smarter dude who knows a little bit more about film, I can a little more objectively say that it's not a great film. I was actually a little bit disappointed. I was really hoping that reading the reviews and all that stuff. I was kind of hoping that it would be better than it was, because I actually did want to like it. And but that's life, Like, I'm sure there'll be other films that I'll come to that I remembered poorly that I'll enjoy a lot more the second time around, or the third or fourth or whatever. But yeah, in this instance, I must say it was a little disappointing. But at the same time, I'm glad I watched it again, because I hadn't watched that movie probably since I left Australia, which is a long fucking time ago now. So yeah, you feel free to send me a comment or something on Facebook. I'm assuming the page will be called, what did I call the show? Oh, yeah, me watching my DVDs. That seems like a good name. So I'll probably make that page now, and maybe a Twitter account for Liam and Kenny and Hugh, probably Hannah, maybe Connor as well. That's about the right amount of people who would be obliged to watch or to listen to this first one. There's not going to be anything to watch. There's not going to be a fade out music or anything like that. That's just not my style. I've chosen next week's film. I might not necessarily make it next week. I'll probably make it during the week and just put it up in a week. Or you know what? Fuck it. I'll probably just put them up when I make them. I don't really care about having a system in place or whatever. But yeah, I'll just fuck this. Why, this is a terrible accent. This is why I probably should have made notes. I'll get better at this anyway. But yeah, this is it. This is kind of part of the system. This is the learning curve. So I'm just going to kind of put them out as I do them. And I'm going to try and stay on them pretty regularly, because I've got a shitload of movies to get through. But I don't know if I'll have Liam on the next one. Depends if I can get him in the same spot as me at the same time. But he'll definitely be on soon. But next week's film will be The Faculty, starring Josh Hartnett and Elijah Wood and Jordana Brewster. And 10 points if you can name any other film that she's been in besides that Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, which was a long time ago. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Tommy. This has been a fucking train wreck. And yeah, I suppose you can listen to me next week, or don't. I, again, don't care.